Today's interview is a bit different. Today's guests, Marie-Anne Lecoeur and I, just recently took the same business class. Not only did we find we had similar audiences, we also found that we both believe in the value of a regular declutter. So I invited Marie-Anne to join me today to talk about decluttering, curating, clothing, and color, and how it can affect our mental health and our self-esteem. So grab your sewing and a cup of tea, and here is my interview with Marie-Anne Lecoeur. So welcome, Marie-Anne, to the show. Thank you for being on. Whereabouts are you coming to us from?
Well, thank you very much for having me, Karen, on your podcast. Very kind to invite me. And I am based in France. I am in Normandy.
You just moved, didn't you?
Yes, we were in a little cottage about 5 minutes away, but now we've moved to a bigger place.
So we took a business class together and we found we had some common ground in one, our demographic, but two, in just dealing with decluttering and trying to encourage our viewers to just pass on those things that are no longer serving us. Why do you find people hang on to things?
I think it's so to do with emotion, emotional bonds, and also probably safety and protection, because we always feel really good and safe among our things, among things that we know, that we have history with. And I think parting with some pieces that are especially dear to us, I think it's a little bit frightening, a little bit out of our comfort zone. And it's always a little bit difficult to part with some special pieces.
So you're dealing with wardrobes and women in their clothing. What questions do you ask your viewers to help assist them in letting things go?
Well, I ask them probably to ask themselves the why. Why do they feel attached to certain pieces, and why they feel maybe not ready at the moment? Because sometimes we feel not ready at the time, but later on we will be ready to part with it. And maybe it's a kind of thing to take one step at a time and to feel ready, because I don't think it is good to force people just because, okay, let's declutter, remove this. And some people are not ready. They're really attached to something, and it's a deep emotion. And sometimes could be due because they lost that person, that piece remind them of, or maybe they were gifted that item. So they have the relationship with that person. And I never actually tell them, well, you know, declutter that piece, remove it, because they may be very much attached. So it's up to them. And so I ask them to think and maybe write on a diary the why. You know, why do they feel attached to that piece? Why do they feel not quite ready to part with those pieces?
I think that's a really good idea. I know myself, as I've done the declutter challenge of my sewing room, every year I feel stronger. Decisions that I made last year, one, I can recognize that they were wrong. I didn't need to keep it. Or in the next one, for those items that I know I don't need, the things that I know I don't want, but I can't let go. Writing down that, well, when will I be able to let go? That's a very good idea. So how often do you suggest people declutter their wardrobes?
Well, I think especially a couple of times a year for sure, in between the big seasons. So at the end of the summer and just before we approach autumn, and again after the winter, because these are two big times in the year when we really change the wardrobe in a big way. But you can do a little bit of decluttering in between the spring, summer, but it depends on where people live, because for some people, they don't have the big changes between the seasons. So it's up to them. So they can do it twice a year, 4 times a year. And of course, after a while, it won't be so much of a big declutter. It will be more of a regular audit, which is good to do. For instance, you can do a regular audit daily, if you like, or during when you do the laundry, or when you're going to do some, you know, I'm having problem in creating some good outfits, maybe I need to declutter in order to bring new things in. So it could be just before a big shopping spree, for instance, if they do that, you know, or if they go away, that's something like that.
So why is simplicity best in a wardrobe?
For me, simplicity works because the fewer the options, the more um, the more free you are, and the more actually the easiest is going to be for you to create outfits. So of course you need to declutter first to make your wardrobe simple, if you like, so that you can see what you have. And this is why, you know, you end up really knowing what you have in your wardrobe, really knowing what pieces go with what other pieces. So you need to make it simple. And decluttering, I think, is the first step.
Now, versatility, you mentioned a simple wardrobe makes it more versatile, which almost seems to be the opposite of simplicity, like a reduced inventory. How do all these options appear from having less things?
Because when, so I'm taking because of my background is a French woman, and we have about 80%. So we have the 80-20, the 80% of classic pieces. And then we add about 20 pieces of trendy items so that they can work together. Otherwise, if you have 100% of classic pieces, it may feel a bit boring, overly classic, you know, like you are stuck in the past. So by bringing in some regular items that are trendy, you would have a wardrobe that works. And because like 80% of your wardrobe in classic, in simple design, simple look, they will work together. So when you're having a pared down wardrobe, you will have more options, because already by selecting the pieces that work together, more or less all your pieces will work together.
One of the core things of a French wardrobe is black and navy. What happens if your complexion does not work with black and navy? What's your go-to color then?
Usually, if the black doesn't suit people, and it doesn't suit many women as we get older, you know, complexion changes, so it becomes too harsh to the face. So you can go to the navy or the lighter colors of blue, or you can go in grays, so that it's not too harsh to the face. Or you can choose, you know, in the dark browns as well.
Many people come to quilting at big changes in their life when their body is changing. So they come to it when they've had their children, or they come to it when the children are leaving, which coincidentally often aligns with menopause or retirement. There's been a real adjustment for me in the clothing that I can wear and the styles that suit me, and even the colors that work with my features. How do you start from scratch again, or do you try to transition your wardrobe?
I think it's easier for everybody to transition, because otherwise it's a big change. And because of the time of life, the menopause, it's already a big change in our lives. So changing everything from, you know, removing everything and start afresh would be too much of a big change. So I think it is easier to make little tweaks here and there as a journey. So think of it as you are evolving. So little by little, you see things changing on your body, things you notice that no, I'm a little bit tight here, a little bit tight there, and I don't want to show my arms or things like that. So of course, you're going to address that in the new pieces you're going to bring, because you are noticing these changes, and also those clothes that no longer suit you as well as they used to. So, for instance, I would advise women to get themselves a full-length mirror, so they can see how things work on their body now. Because many women don't have a full-length mirror, so they may have just, you know, the middle one, a small one, maybe in the bathroom or in the bedroom, just but they don't see the full effect of the outfits on their body. So it's good for them to take a few minutes and see, okay, does that work? How does that suit me? It used to suit me, but doesn't now. What changes do I have to make? So again, I like to give the responsibility to the women themselves. Have a good look in your full-length mirror. Have a look at your outfit, and ask yourself this question. Write it down on your diary. what no longer works. What are you happy with, and what are you no longer happy with? You know, what are the parts of your body you think are letting you down? You know, things have changed. Things have shifted in the skin as well. So they need to think about things like that, and not suddenly, you know, put it in a background and not think about it and suddenly, you know, be very frightened all at once. It's good for them to think about it, you know, regularly, so that the wardrobe can move along with them, you know, together as a journey.
So what about when you've just given up? Changes, there's so many things going on in your life, and with the pressures of working long jobs and children out the door, or just helping young adults, or just all the stress in the world, you've just given up working on your wardrobe, but you realize, and you probably have a comment on this about mental health, it would just helps your self-esteem and everything. Where do you start?
It is difficult, and I think the mental health you've mentioned, and it affects so many women. Time in the life of women, and it's something we've never experienced before. Even though our mothers or grandmothers or aunts may have told us about it, because we were not experiencing it. Oh, it's so far in the future, it won't affect me as much, but it does affect us. And yes, many women give up, or they forget about themselves, don't spend any time for them. They feel that maybe they don't matter anymore. They may feel invisible as well. And maybe because things in the body, they don't recognize their bodies as well, you know, things have changed, and think, oh, I don't need to make an effort. You know, why would I make an effort? I don't feel like making an effort. And it's difficult to get out of that. But the first step, I think, would be to actually sit down and actually recognize that, you know, maybe you have not spent time on yourself, and now maybe is the time that you may enjoy spending time with yourself, spending time with your wardrobe, and start feeling good about yourself. And I found that sometime in this life, many women, for instance, are going to wear a lot of dark colors, like a lot of black, because they feel that they almost want to hide, and it's such a shame. So maybe they could start bringing a little bit of color in their wardrobe, start thinking about their style. And when they start thinking about their style, they will start thinking about themselves, so that, you know, if they look better, they will feel better. As they start feeling better, their style little by little will change. They will start maybe putting some lipstick on, or going to the hairdressers, putting some jewelry on, maybe some necklace and earrings, something that is nice, maybe wearing a dress, because that will make them feel better about themselves. And I hope that by doing that, one step at a time, that's always what I tell them. I said, you know, just take it a day at a time, one step at a time in that direction, because these little changes will make a big difference in the long run.
So when you're about to make this change, often there is a weight factor. Our body shape has changed, and we may be less inclined to make that change in our wardrobe because we're thinking, oh, we're going to lose weight. We're going to lose weight. Why do it now? Why don't we do it when we've lost all the weight? And of course, the weight never comes off. How do you make the changes in your wardrobe that will transition, hopefully, into a healthier body as well?
That's a very good question, because I also talk about how to eat like a French woman, and I have this exact question because in France, we wear clothes a little bit tighter to the body, a little bit closer to the body. As a tip, for instance, I advise to wear things with a belt, so that, you know, especially during meals, so that we notice when we're full and then we're likely to stop eating. Whereas if you wear clothes that are a little bit larger, or elasticated waist, or very loose, then you don't feel that. And if you hang on to clothes that are of a bigger size, for instance, it may help you to remain that size as you mentioned it, because well you have things to wear and those things are comfortable. And if you buy things that are a little bit tighter to the body, oh no, I'm going to go back to my bigger size. So it's a little bit difficult at that time to know what to do with the size.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest loop that we get into. You know, we want to lose weight, but we don't have the clothes, but we don't have the clothes because we're not the right size. And we're just in this self-esteem spiral. And how do we spiral back up?
That's the difficult part. And I think it's to probably think about, make the decision, okay, I will do my best to lose weight and do it one step at a time, one meal at a time, the stop snacking, and have smaller portions. So it will have an impact. It may take a few weeks, but it will happen. It's a way to change the habit, and making the decision to actually do something about it, I think, is probably the biggest change you can make. Because if you don't decide, say, okay, I will lose the weight and not doing anything about it. So you need to really decide and say, okay, I will do that. And then you can little by little, one step at a time. And I think that's the thing, if you think too far in the future, say, oh, there's too much, I've got too much weight to lose. So a good thing to do, as I always advise my ladies, is to do it bite size, so to speak. To do it, one step at a time. What is the next meal you can actually take charge of? So smaller portions. So eat from a smaller plate. That is easy to do. You fool your mind. So if you have a smaller plate, you're not going to put as much on a plate. So that's a smaller portion. In between the meals, what can you do? Drink more water, because that fills you up. And, do your best to stop snacking. Unless maybe it's an apple or a banana or something like that, but not, the processed food. And then, okay, think about your next meal. How can you take control again? And little by little, you will see your weight stabilize. So you won't put an, weight on, and then little by little, you will start losing weight.
Let's just talk a little bit about you for a second, you personally. So how did you become a wardrobe consultant?
Well, I wrote my first book, How to Be Chic and Elegant, back in 2011. A few months later, it became a bestseller on Amazon. I started receiving emails about advice, and I started creating my YouTube channel, and I started putting videos on that about techniques that many women did not know, or they wanted to learn how to put things together, outfits, what to wear according to your body shape. The body shape is a foundation of style, and that's how it started.
Just bringing it back to being a maker. Did you sew as a young person? Did you make any of your clothes growing up?
I didn't, but my mother used to do it. She used to make the clothes for us as girls, little dresses. And I remember I had a white polka dot dress. The polka dots were blue, and we had little frills at the hems. And I had the same dress as my older sister, and my mom had made them. And it was really cute. But I am not gifted in the, with sewing, I must say. I love, seeing, and I admire women who make their own clothes. But it's not something I'm gifted with.
Yeah. So are you from the Normandy area?
Yes.
What would be the traditional handcrafts of the Normandy area?
We have a very big, well-renowned tapestry in Bayeux, a Tapisserie de Bayeux, which recorded Middle Ages and William the Conqueror. So it's open to anybody who wants to visit it, and it's actually amazing to see. You just follow the chronological order. of the battles, and it's really interesting. So we have tapestry there. We have also lace. France was very famous for various lace and many clothes. I mean, in France, we had a very big industry, and unfortunately, many factories closed over the years.
Is lace still very common on clothing or added to clothing?
At the moment, we have seen a revival of lace and frills. So we have some details appearing on some clothes, not as apparent as it used to be. But we have very few ateliers now left in France for lace, which is a shame because there used to be ateliers throughout.
Just as an aside, I was just reading in a book about textiles on how lace was integral in keeping women busy. Like if you were a single woman, especially a spinster, an older single woman, they were always delegated to doing lace. If you could do nothing else, women could make lace. In France. And it was just, I think it was actually written into laws as well. Like if a woman was not doing anything else, she went to the lace maker. And she could, well, it was also something you could do as a cottage industry, right? You could do it in your home. And I don't even think a lot of people know how lace is made. Like we just take it for granted that threads go together. They don't realize the intricacies and how those patterns are made.
It has lost over the years now, and let's not forget as well that many things have been manufactured now in factories, no longer done by hand.
I use these small little, they're called Spanish lace pins, and I'm thinking that you pin things the way that you would pin a garment together, or the tailoring or things like that. But what they were actually used for is holding the threads as people wove, and I almost think of it like macrame, how you crossed over stitches and made the knots and things like that. We've just lost that connection to what they were. So just getting back to your wardrobe. So how do you fall in love with your wardrobe? Like, okay, so I'm not happy right now with what I have. I'm just about to go on a cruise to Alaska. How do I fall in love with my wardrobe?
I think it starts from we need to start from the beginning. Many people have told me in my videos, "Oh, Marianne, you love your clothes. We can tell. We love your. We can see your pieces." And this is something I really want for women. But they need to start at the beginning, because they need to declutter. They need to remove anything they no longer love, they no longer wear, unless those cherished pieces. But I am sure that those cherished pieces, they're not wearing them anyway, so they can put them in a special place. But they need to, every time they go shopping, every time they buy something, they need to select that piece. They need to be really, it needs to be a wow. I always say that. If it's not a wow, it's a no. That means, don't buy it. Because if you buy something that will do, after a couple of weeks, you won't even want to wear it. So it needs to be a big wow, so you really fall in love. It needs to be, you need to feel special. And that's something in France we do. When we buy something, it is special to us, and we can show it to we show it to our sisters or friends and say, "Oh, look at I bought this. I wear it with this, with that. Look at the little detailing here." And you can see that we have already this special relationship. We really love that item. It is special to us. So imagine when you have a wardrobe filled with all those pieces that are special to you. Of course, you're going to love your wardrobe. You're going to be in love with your wardrobe. Every time you open your wardrobe, or your drawers, say, "Oh, I love this, I love that. What can we possibly wear today?" But you need to start at the beginning.
Right back to the core.
Foundation.
Well, I actually went to put on a shirt today that I absolutely love, but it unfortunately has seen better days. And I realize it has just passed that point where I can no longer wear it again. And I think I'm going to be grieving for a couple couple of weeks because I no longer have that in my wardrobe. I find one of the challenges when I go shopping is that I have colors that I love, but they're not in season. And I can walk into a store and realize there's nothing in this store that I need to try on because none of these colors are going to make me feel good. How do you, find those colors that you love when they're not in season?
Well, it's difficult. That is a difficult thing to do. But I think a good thing to remember is like when we go shopping to think that anyway, in any shop, you will find at the most only 10% of what they have on offer that you would like, maximum. So already you know that it's going to be restricted because let's not forget you need to find something, as you rightly said, about the colors that make you feel good, the colors that you love. So when you think about the 10%, and out of that's going to be very difficult to find something that that's the one. So with patience, maybe shopping online, so you have a look, okay, which brand usually does this color, keeping your eye open. But it can be difficult also with the trends. Sometimes the color that or the shade of that color that you like, it's not the right shade. Let's say you like red, but you like the a deep blue red, and at the trend they only have the orangey red, so you can't buy it. So you have to wait let's say a season until they're having the reds that you want. So it's it can be difficult with color.
Now you mentioned, okay, so out of the whole store, there's 10%, and out of that 10%, there might be one or two items that work for you. What if they just almost work? Like they make you feel good, but you realize that you need to alter it a little bit. What alterations are worth doing?
Now, alterations are pretty good because you can find, let's say, you find something that's a little bit too big for you, or, it needs to be adjusted. You don't have to pass it up. So you can buy it if it's really good color and everything, and you know a little bit about how to alter it, or maybe you have a seamstress. Then you can alter, for instance, at sometimes the waistline or the length of the item. But something that is not easily done is at the shoulders. That is a difficult part to alter. So there will be some items that are easier to alter than others. But you need to see which piece, because you can go from coats to dresses or blouses. So it depends what needs to be altered, where, and it can depend also on the fabric. Sometimes it's difficult with some fabrics.
Okay, so if I don't have a lot of money, how do I bring it all together?
Many people are on a budget. I am on a budget as well, so I am used to years of shopping on a small budget. And in France, women are on a budget because our salaries are not very high. So we're used to buying things. This is why we don't do shopping hauls, because we haven't got the budget for it. So I think French women are well placed to shop on a budget. So how do we shop? Shop buy just one item that you need, but buy with by the quality. So you may spend a little bit more, even though you're on a budget, but that item will last you longer. So really, in the long run, you will save money because you will wear it longer, and therefore the cost per wear will be less. You can buy in the sales already. Have a look what you like in each in the shops, and make sure when it comes on sale, you can have it. And also not buy when you buy with emotion. Let's say you feel bad, or you feel a little bit low, and you think, oh, I'm going to spend some money and shop, because then you will make the wrong choices. So to stay in your budget, I think shopping with what you need in mind, or with your shopping list, so and avoiding the shopping hauls and buying quality again.
So if people want to get a hold of you, they want to take one of your classes, just find or watch your YouTube channel, how do they get a hold of you?
They can go on my website, mariannelecoeur.com, or my YouTube channel, which is Marianne Lecoeur, the French chic expert. And I also have a special 25% coupon code for my Spring Capsule Masterclass for your viewers, if they're interested.
Thank you very much. So which one of your videos do you suggest somebody start with?
It will be videos on body shapes, because that is the foundation. Once you know your body shape, you learn how to dress for it, and then you can build from that. So that would be the foundation.
Great. Thank you very much for being on the show today. I'm looking forward to practicing what you've shown. I've taken your spring capsule class and I've been pulling together a wardrobe for my Alaskan trip.
Wonderful, Karen. Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Marie-Anne Lecoeur. I recently used many of her tips when planning my spring wardrobe and packing for my trip to Alaska. If you are interested in one of her master classes, she is offering a 25% discount on her summer or her winter capsule class with the coupon code GetItDoneQuilts25. I'll have a link to her website, her YouTube channel, her social media, and her contact info in the notes below. Next up on Karen's Quilt Circle is Sissy Serow, and we will be talking about Hawaiian quilts and her family's legacy of these amazing applique patterns. You don't want to miss it, so be sure to subscribe. Next time you're in your sewing room, be sure to have Karen's Quilt Circle playing in the background. I have interviewed so many interesting, amazing people on this show. Let one inspire you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.